regardless of whether you're using water-based or oil and spirit-based colour as I am here, wear gloves. Well, up to you of course, I'm not your dad, but it's a good idea to wear gloves or you will be spending a while scrubbing your hands and they may stay that way for a long time. For the application, I'm going quite simplistic. I'm just using the humble paper towel. And I'm not even going to dilute it. It doesn't need to be super light in colour. I'm just going to put some onto my paper towel and see how we go. Being spirit-based does mean that it dries very quickly as well. I won't go over the edges multiple times because what's the point really? That's going to be covered with the darker colours. I keep going back to it numerous times because every time I put on another amount, it becomes dark again. The grain fill becomes dark and it looks nice, so I enjoy doing it. But there's really no need to do that. It's just when it's wet, the contrast looks great, but when I put the clear coat on, as I shall later, that contrast will be permanent because it will always have that wet look. Now for the main colour. This is basically a red guitar. It was going to be green once upon a time, but then when I had my wee mishap with the placement of the cavity and redesigned the way the pickups are going to be mounted, I decided that red just might look good. A classic red guitar with a black pickguard is I guess it's quite a Gibson thing really, but this is not a particularly Gibson-esque guitar. There's actually very little of this that will be red, yellow, just around the neck, which you'll hardly see really because of the pickguard, but why did I put so much yellow on? Never mind, it doesn't do any harm. I'm favouring the edge now, just making it, I guess, a bit darker, a bit bolder around the edge, the extreme of which will be the black dye, which will go over, or the black stain, which will go over top of this. Okay, I'm going to put a bit more yellow on now, and in a way kind of push back from within towards the outside. That's good. That's kind of washing out a little of the red just at the edges and further feathering that transition, which is great. Yeah, I think I'm done with the yellow now. Now I'll just darken up the red a bit around the outside. And then I'll start with the charcoal. Now I'm quite deliberately only moving in strokes away from the centre. I don't want to interfere any further with that yellow because that looks just how I want it to now. All right, the black. I'll need a screwdriver to open that. Now this is not a dye, it is a stain. And once I've got good coverage with this, I'll then push back a bit with the red. I can see already that this is not going to turn out terribly, so there's a win. And it doesn't matter if it touches the sides are going to be entirely black. It looks absolutely fantastic in that grain. And bear in mind, again, that a clear coat will make everything look a little bit darker. So if it doesn't look that dark now, it looks quite dark but not black, well, it'll look darker still under a lacquer. Okay, that'll do for now with the black. No, actually, I tell a lie. I will just that's probably a bit more than I intended. Okay, now I'll stop. For now, anyway. I will be coming back with the black later when it comes to going over the edge and down the sides. And I'll just come back to the red. Now pushing back a bit from the red against the black, and then I'll do that one last time with the yellow as well. Give the underdog one more chance. Whoops. Voila. Oh no, that's not so bad. This is why I was putting it down before. Good practice. Don't hold it over your workpiece. That's not too bad. One more pass with the yellow just to fight out. I think of them as like a battle, being an army being surrounded, and they're going to fight out a bit more to reclaim a bit more territory down this end of the guitar. Most of the yellow is actually under the pick guard, but just a little bit will appear around the neck pocket. The yellow resistance, okay. I reckon that is in a good enough state to let it dry fully. Yeah, I think so. I'm going to let that dry fully, leave it for a few hours, maybe come back in a few hours, and then I'll do the sides then. Well, I can do the sides now actually, but you don't need to see that, that's boring. I'm just going to be rubbing black or charcoal stain around the sides of the guitar, then let it dry fully, flip it over on a piece of cloth, something soft, and then do pretty much the same finish that you've just seen there on the back. Before I do the sides, just one look over the top. That's pretty cool, isn't it? That is cool. I like it. I'm pretty sure I am done with the staining. I'm a little bit perplexed by the way in which the black finish, the charcoal stain, did not adhere consistently around the edge. There are some areas where it was nice and consistent, other areas where it didn't adhere very well. And the edge was pretty clean. I just finished sanding and brushing it all off, so I don't really know what might have caused that, but that's the way the cookie crumbles. So I've done both sides, including the back, and I really, really like the way these colours look. I'm rather pleased. This is the first, well no, it's not the first finish that I did, that one is, but this is the first sunburst looking finish that I've done, and it has come out really well. So the next step is, there are still a couple of patches where I've just touched it up moments ago, and they're not 100% dry yet. So I'll let this dry overnight and maybe tomorrow as well, just because I might not get to it. But the next step, we'll be taking to it with the rattle can and applying some lacquer.